Shalom Akim, all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua Ba'ashim Rakah Kodash, double honor to the apostles, elders of great millstone, salute to sincere Akim out there of the hope for the elect. Alright? And this video is basically I'm going through the spirit because the 2 days ago that the president of China, Xi Jinping, went to Russia to go visit Vladimir Putin, right? And of course they're discussing global affairs, and the American press and news media has been covering it. Most of these countries in the West have been covering it, and this is just more and more signs of the times that a global war is going to take place, man. Right? A global war is certainly going to take place. It's prophetic. It's been spoken of in the scriptures way before our time, way before our lifetime, before we've existed here on earth today. All right? And that's one of the main reasons why we believe in the Bible. Okay? Hebrew Israelite brothers, you so-called Bible thumpers or what have you, we believe that this is the word of the Most High, and it comes from a divine power because of the prophecies that are actually coming to pass that are written in the scriptures, man. Okay? So you had, the President Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin meet up, and like I said, they're discussing global affairs, global politics. And the main topic is definitely America and the Western forces that they're competing against. Okay? Which ultimately, this is going to lead these meetings and gatherings and these conferences that these world leaders are having, especially the opposition with one another are having, is going to lead to an all-out war, a third world's war. And we've been prophesying about this for decades on end now, okay? And it's only intensifying and heating up and getting worse and worse, all right? I just want to bring out scripture. This is Joel chapter 3, verse 9. It says, "Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, prepare war. Wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up." Okay? So yeah, the Lord said to proclaim this among the Gentiles, which is talking about the natural Gentiles, people who are not Israelites. Okay? And that includes, the so-called white man, Arabs, East Indians, the Chinese, okay? The Koreans, all right? Even these Hamites in Africa, okay? The natives of Africa, all right, which these people are not Israelites, and they are all gathering themselves up for war. A lot of them see that America in the West is failing, and a lot of them are basically trying to seek refuge under these up and coming countries like Russia and China. Well, I can't even call them up and coming countries anymore. All right, but their joint venture that they have, all right, with China and Russia, which are basically two world superpowers, who are basically establishing themselves in defense of what we would call weaker nations, okay, who are basically being manipulated and bullied and oppressed by the West. Okay, so a lot of these other nations are joining forces with China and Russia because they see the weakness of the West, and they're preparing for war. Getting intel, doing deals with the GDP, with China, countries like China and Russia, of course. Okay. Uh, um, like I said, yeah, getting intel to make weapons, to enrich their uranium and such. Okay. So it's going down, man. It's going down. And that's what it's all about, man. Gathering up arms to be able to defend yourself, man. You know, get them intercontinental ballistic missiles. Get that type of intelligence and technology to proceed with that. All right? That's why we want to say beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say I am strong. All right? Plowshares and pruning hooks are tools of agriculture. Okay? That's what you do to work the land and you know, gather crops so you can, you know, manufacture it and sell it. Okay? And that's what these countries are doing. A lot of these countries are pretty much rich with natural resources. And what they're doing, like I said, they're joining forces with China. You have China helping the development of Africa, even though what they're doing is no different than what America is doing as far as, you know, basically raping these countries of natural resources, of their natural resources, you know, to you know, gain leverage over the opposing country, and eventually become more powerful than the opposing country. All right, that's why there's basically like a tug of war between America and China right now over Africa. Okay, but you know, China is redeveloping Africa and certain other so-called third world countries or weak countries, right? Remember when Donald Trump was in office, he was calling a lot of these third world countries shithole countries. Okay, all right. But now the weak are saying I am strong because what? They're making deals with China and they're making deals with Russia. Okay, and their countries are developing, and also they're receiving arms and certain intelligence, you know, and they're able to purchase things from the military industrial complex, you know, weapons to gear up for war. Okay, so it says, assemble yourselves and come, all ye heathen, and gather yourselves together round about. Thither cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. All right, and that's what's taking place, man. It's going to be a global war, global confrontation, man. All right, between the West, which is NATO, EU, which America is part of NATO, and you know, that's why NATO is constantly in the news, and NATO is desperate, trying to recruit more Eastern European countries to join them, so they can you know, utilize these Eastern European countries that are close to Russia, so they can build a missile defense system in those countries, man. Okay, and and Russia and China is not having that, man. Okay, all right, and out there in that Middle Eastern region, it's been constant turmoil, constant war. This is the longest war, the war on terror, right? Which is a rumor of war, like Yahweh Shai told us in Matthew, the 24th chapter. Okay, has been the longest fought war since America has been established as a country. Okay, this is a never-ending war. All right, and things are just only going to intensify and heat up. All right, it says, let the heathen be wakened and come up to the valley of Jehoshaphat, which Jehoshaphat, Yahweh Shaphat, means the valley of the Most High's judgment, the valley of Yahweh's judgment. This is where the Lord is bringing all of the heathens at, so he could eventually judge them and destroy them. Okay, reading Book of Revelations, also known as Armageddon. All right, which the word Armageddon is a Hebrew word Harmagadwan, which means mountain of the troops. Okay, And that's talking about that whole Middle Eastern region. You know, you got Syria, you got Iraq, you got Afghanistan, okay, Iran, the welfare state of Israel is there, okay? It reads on to say, for there will I sit to judge all the heathen round about. Put ye in the sickle, for the harvest is ripe. Yeah, the time is coming, man. This is where this society, you know, that our people believe in so much, you know, white society, you know, people chanting USA and all of that. It's a wrap. It's over. Okay? That pride of America is basically being crushed. You know? Because these other countries could see that America in the West is weakening, man. There's going to be a new rulership and a new heaven on earth, as described in the Bible. New heaven and a new earth. But it's not going to come in the form of or fashion of rulership under a heathen, like Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping of China, okay? Or any Arab nation for that matter, okay? It's going to be the people who you least expect to rule, which are the Hebrew Israelites, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, who make up the 12 tribes of Israel under their Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shah, who is a so-called black man who the world ignorantly calls Christ. Okay? It says, come get you down, for the press is full, the fats overflow, for their wickedness is great. Yeah, the whole world is wicked. All right? Especially with the influence of America, you know, through Hollywood and the promotion of democracy and women's liberation and homosexuality and drug culture. All right? This world is wicked, man. Okay? The whole entire world is wicked. It has to be judged and it has to be destroyed, man. It says multitudes, multitudes in the valley of decision, for the day of the Lord is near in the valley of decision. Okay, which is talking about the Middle East once again. All right, and that's what's taking place, man. That's what's going down. This is where the Lord is going to pronounce judgment out there in the Middle East and ultimately wipe out the root cause of the world's problems, which is America, Babylon the Great. That's why Revelations, 18th chapter, it goes into the destruction of Babylon, of Great Babylon, which is America. Okay? Now you got the president of China, once again, Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin just had a meeting, you know, which was covered all over the news. And I just want to say one thing about that, because, you know, what the media doesn't specify is how much of an outstanding relationship these two leaders of their country have. All right, Vladimir Putin, who's been the president of Russia since 2012, all right, in which he goes back politics all with Russia as far as being the prime minister since '99. Okay, he had a break in his run as prime minister, and he assumed office again back in 2008. All right, and 2008, 2012. Okay, and the president Xi Jinping of China, he's been the president of China since 2012. All right, so this is well over 10 years of formal friendship that these two guys have, man. All right, unlike the presidents, prime ministers, and leaders of the NATO alliance and the EU members, okay, which usually have presidents lasting from anywhere from 4 years to an 8-year term, okay, which they don't have enough time in office to develop a formal friendship, a solid friendship, and they basically all snaking each other, man. Okay, so the alliance that Russia and China have with one another is a very strong alliance that's pretty much in comparison to NATO and the EU, it's impenetrable. All right, and you know that's why it's part of the reason why when you read the book of Daniel, the second chapter, and it goes into Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the statue with the gold head. All right, which the gold head represents Babylon, and you know you had the arms of silver and the thighs of brass and and you had the part of it that was ironed, and you had that iron and miry clay toes, which represents the EU. See, all this represents different kingdoms, right? The gold represents Babylon, the silver represents the Persian and Mede Empire, and the brass represents Greece, and the iron represented Rome. All right, then when you get down to the very bottom of the statue with the toes of iron and clay, that represents the Western forces today of NATO and the EU. You know how iron is strong and clay is weak. All right, so the kingdom was partly strong and partly weak, and we see that. You know, there's still strength in NATO because you have developed countries like the United States of America, of course. Okay, you got Great Britain or England, right? You know, countries with nuclear capability and you know still have a pretty strong economy, which is on the verge of collapsing. All right, and which is done intentionally. Okay, you got Germany as well. All right, but then you got some of these other countries that are weak, and they're constantly trying to recruit weaker countries, man. Okay, and it's leading to a whole lot of turmoil, man. All right, and like I stated earlier, you know, these prime ministers, presidents, and leaders of these different countries, they don't have that formal friendship that the presidents of Russia and China have. Okay, so you know things are gonna get chaotic real soon. It's gonna be a third world war. America's gonna be on the losing end, and it's prophesied, man. All right, so you know, brothers just gotta hold on, stay strong in the faith, man, and keep patient, man, and pray and continue on in the faith. And I'm gonna end this video on that note. Say shalom, Baba Rockin' to Akim out there. Baba Radazai, see you in the next one. Shalom.